Hey, what's going on, everyone? Adam Allard here with Pragmatic Ways, and have a real quick and easy video for you all today. And this one's going to be on Boolean short circuit evaluation, specifically in Java. And basically what this means is just knowing the difference between the AND operator, the single ampersand AND operator, and the double ampersand AND operator when talking about conditional expressions. So let's see what we're talking about here. And today's video, or today's lesson, is actually so simple that I'm going to be using an online compiler even to sort of explain what we're talking about. So what we're going to be doing is basically just going through a very simple application that's essentially just going to simulate printing out to a screen if a user is eligible to drive or not. So I'm just going to say something like if, and I'll put that in a minute what the requirements are. If user is eligible to drive, and I'm just going to print to the screen system.out.println, and I'll say user can drive. All right. And the requirements in order to be able to drive, we're going to have two of them. All right. The first one's going to be is if the user is of the minimum driving age. And then the next one is going to be they had to have passed a driver's test. Okay. So this first one I'm just going to say something like is minimum driving age. All right, and then I'll say and has passed driving test. Okay. And now I need to create these actual functions. So I'm going to make this private. It's going to be static. It's going to return a Boolean. And the name of the first one is going to be is minimum driving age. And I'm just going to copy the same structure here to create the second one right away. But this function name is going to be has passed driving test. And now for the purpose of this example here, I want a way to know when I'm actually inside of this function. So I don't have a use of a debugger here, so I'm just going to print to the screen while I'm in here. So I'm just going to say system.out.println, just a friendly message to know that when I'm actually inside of this function. And I'm just going to say something like checking user age. All right. And then I'm Control-C that and Control-V that. Same thing down here. Checking user test. Checking for user test, right? Checking for user test. Checking for user age. And now both these functions in a real-world application for is minimum driving age, is the user minimum driving age, we'd probably be accessing some user object, right? And we'd be validating that the age field in this user object is equal to or greater than whatever the minimum driving age happens to be, right? But I'm not going to go through all that code there. I'm just going to simulate this. I'm going to hard code in a Boolean here. I'm just going to say return true. But you just know that, for the sake of this example, that's all I'm doing. But in a real world application, we'd actually be accessing like an actual object or whatever else. Same thing down here. We'd probably be bouncing this user person, maybe the user ID, against some database to verify that they have passed a driving test or whatever else. But again, for the sake of this example, for simplicity reasons here, I'm just going to hard code in a value here. I'm just going to return a hard-coded Boolean here. So both these Booleans are going to return true. So now back in our main function, all I'm doing here, very simple, if is minimum driving age and has passed driving test, both of these currently are evaluating to true, then print out user can drive. So we should be pretty familiar with all of this so far, and we could probably already guess what we're going to see in the output here. First thing we're going to be doing is right here, if is minimum driving age, we come to this function, we print this out to the screen, which is what we see here. We return true, so that's true, and this, then we go down here, check for user test, checking for user test, returns true. Since that's true and that's true, we print up to the screen, user can drive, which is what we see right here. So that's all great and dandy, right? And that shows us the double ampersand. And then the original intent of this video here was to sort of explain the difference between the single ampersand and the double ampersand. So what is that? So let's change this to a single ampersand here. And what might be surprising to some of you is that this actually runs. This is valid Java syntax here. We actually can put a single ampersand inside of a conditional and expect it to still run. And in this particular example, we see that nothing has really changed. So again, that really begs the question is, well, what is the real difference then? Why is there two of them? Why is there the single ampersand versus the double ampersand? Well, this double ampersand is referred to as the short circuit AND operator. And this one, the single ampersand, is referred to as really just a normal AND operator. But we see the double ampersand operator a lot more often because I'll show you why in a second, but it has a little bit of a slighter increased performance to it, and we'll see why in a minute. So in order to see why, let's change up our application. We're going to use the single AND operator here, the single ampersand AND operator here. And for this first function here, this first expression here, I'm going to change this one to false instead. All right, and now I'm just going to run this one here. And of course, since this is false and this is true, this will not print out. We should probably expect that. But what about these in general, though? Right here, we go and we run this function, and we see here, and that's printing out. And then we say and this, and then we see here, and that's printing out. And again, like I just mentioned, if we have a false and a true, it's going to be false. So that's why this does not print out. But now let's change this to a double ampersand, the short circuit AND operator. And let's rerun this program and see what might change here. See if there's any behavior change in our program. And that might be interesting to some of you because now we see that only this first one executes. And the reason for that is because, again, this one here is called the short circuit AND operator. Since we need this whole condition to be true, what happened here was that it ran this function and then it printed this out and then it returned false, and then in here it said, okay, this is false. But I need this whole thing to be true. So since it doesn't matter what the output of this is going to be, since this one is false, I'm going to short circuit here, and I'm just going to stop evaluating the rest of this expression. I'm not even going to bother evaluating the rest of this expression because there's no, again, it's going to short circuit. It doesn't matter what the output of this expression is going to be because this one was already false. And that's essentially, obviously, the main difference between the two, but that's what the slight performance advantage is going to be over with the short circuit one. Is it's going to, in this particular case, it's only executing half of the conditional, right? It's only evaluating half of our entire conditional expression. So it's got a little bit slighter advantage to it in that regards. The same exact idea can be applied to the OR operators as well, actually. We have a single OR operator, the single pipe for the OR operator, or the double pipe, which will be the short circuit OR operator. And again, the same exact logic will follow suit for the AND operators and the OR operators. One of them, the single pipe or single ampersand, is just the normal standard one. It's going to evaluate all of them no matter what. And then when you have a double pipe, or a double ampersand, that's the short circuit operators, and that's going to only evaluate what it needs to, right? The second it finds an expression that's not going to satisfy the whole condition, it's going to short circuit and stop evaluating the rest of the condition and just return what it found out, what it knows the output's going to be in the first place. So that's all I got for you guys today. Real simple, quick video. Just talking about the Boolean short circuit evaluation in Java, knowing the difference between the single AND operator and the regular operator, if we're talking about AND or the OR, and the double, the short circuit operator. Talk about the double ampersand or the double pipe for the AND or the OR operators. So I hope you found some value out of this video here. If you did, please hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe if you want to be notified of any more great videos we come out with Java or programming in general, clean code, writing cleaner code, design patterns, data structures and algorithms, so on and so forth. That's what we do on this channel here at Pragmatic Ways. Also over at our blog at pragmaticways.com. A link to that will be in the description below. And one last house cleaning thing, if you haven't yet, please come over to our group over on Facebook. We have a Facebook group called Software Engineering Mastermind Group, where we have a bunch of masterminds talking about the best ways of writing clean code and doing code reviews and all that other handy-dandy great stuff to make us all better software engineers. So links to all that amazing stuff will be down in the descriptions below. And until then, I'll see you all next time.